country tomorrow. The Biden campaign is ramping up its efforts in North Carolina, hoping a Democrat can win the state for the first time since 2008. Donald Trump, you'll remember, won North Carolina in 2020, but fewer than 75,000 votes. Now, both Democrats and Republicans are focusing on North Carolina's nearly 300,000 eligible Latino voters. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent and co-anchor of NBC News Daily, our good friend Morgan Radford. She traveled to North Carolina to see firsthand whether either party's message is breaking through. Morgan, good morning. What'd you find out there?
Hey there, Willie. Good morning. Yeah, I went back home and we spoke to voters, non-voters, organizers from both sides of the political spectrum there in Wake County. It's home to the second largest Latino population in the state. And the best summary actually came from the leader of one Latino outreach group called Siembra, which in Spanish basically means planting seeds. And she told us that there are three choices in this election: Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and the couch. And right now, she said the couch is looking pretty good to a lot of voters.
Here in Wake County, North Carolina, the temperature is rising. But interest in the election among these Latino voters,
I just don't know who to even lean for,
is anything but hot.
I don't think people are particularly excited in this moment about this election.
Nikki Marin Baena leads a voter outreach group called Siembra North Carolina. Its goal, to reach 5,000 Latino voters this election year, mainly in support of progressive causes and candidates.
Está completada.
A feat they say is harder than it's been before.
You know, in 2020, the last presidential election, I think that it was so much clearer to people kind of what we were up against and what the choice was and how the two candidates were different. I think that all of that felt sharper.
North Carolina's Latino population has increased by 40% in the last decade, but Latino voter turnout here has actually decreased, lagging non-Hispanic turnout in both the midterms and the 2024 primaries. It's a trend Marin Baena says is due in part to a misunderstanding of what Latino voters here actually want from either candidate.
I think if either one of them had a coherent plan that was like, your kid will not get shot in school, here's what we're going to do about guns, and talked about that to Latino voters, I think this would be a completely different conversation.
Another issue resonating here, a series of ICE raids under the Trump administration that saw hundreds of people detained across the state.
They saw a thing happen over and over again where people got taken who weren't even the person that ICE was looking for. And so I think that that had a really big impact in our community in creating a lot of fear, in causing a lot of chaos.
An issue that ultimately played a role in sheriffs from the state's three most populous counties losing re-election in 2018. It's one reason 19-year-old Josahandi Avila says she's leaning toward Biden.
Right now, the immigration laws that are going on have been very impactful to how my family lives.
But interestingly, you say you're still undecided. Mm-hmm. Are you excited about voting for either candidate?
I mean, not necessarily.
It sounds to me like you're almost choosing reluctantly, like between two options that you don't love. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah.
A sentiment the state's Republican Party is hoping to capitalize on.
When you're out here talking to Latino voters, what is the number one issue you talk about to recruit them?
The economy is definitely the number one issue.
Why? What do you say?
We talk about, hey, were grocery prices as high when President Trump was president? Were gas prices as high when President Trump was president? Well, a lot of these Hispanics, what's the American dream? To own a home. Are you able to put a down payment down? Are you able to afford a mortgage with the interest rates so high? And they say, no, we're having a big problem. The rent market is actually booming, but the housing market is not.
But as both candidates try to drum up enthusiasm in the Tar Heel state, voters here say there's still a long road ahead.
Honestly, I don't even know who to vote for, just because it's like no matter what side you go to, there's something iffy about it.
Y señora, ¿qué piensa usted sobre Biden y sobre Trump? What do you think of Biden and Trump?
Okay, estoy de acuerdo también lo que le dice mi hija. Son personas muy totalmente ya demasiada edad.
You agree with your daughter. You think both candidates are too old. You want to see something new.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
We reached out to the Democratic Party, and they said it's investigating and really investing earlier than ever in the state's Latino community, adding in part, while Trump oversaw a 47% spike in unemployment among Latinos and is pushing to raise our health care costs, President Biden has delivered for our Latino communities, creating more than 400,000 good-paying jobs across the state. They also pointed to a 7-figure ad buy for a TV ad specifically targeted toward Latinos watching the Copa America tournament. They say that spot will be airing across several battleground states, including North Carolina, just in time for Wednesday Copa America match happening there in Charlotte on July 10th, Willie.
Fascinating. And this group could be decisive, as you say, in a race that was 1 point last time around in 2020. NBC's Morgan Radford, thank you as always for your reporting.
Willie.
We appreciate it.